At listenuptv.com, we take faith conversations one step deeper. Check out our blogs, send us your questions, and let us know what you think. There you can sign up for the Listen Up Insider. That's listenuptv.com. Listen Up is back exploring the issue of preparing for pandemic. Need some place to pray? You might seek out a church, but would you turn to a church in the event of a widespread pandemic?
This is the southwest quadrant of Calgary, and we've broken the city up into the 4 quadrants, and we have one head lead church in each quadrant, which is at this location here, and then each of the hearts represents a church that has come on board.
There's nothing that makes Marg Paulin happier than seeing churches climb aboard the emergency preparedness bandwagon. She marks each new church on her map with a tiny heart.
Can you imagine churches with these little hearts on every single subdivision in our city and beyond? We're hoping that this initiative will take off across Canada, and we'll have this as a movement that churches will be reaching out into their communities all across Canada. That is my dream.
Ambitious? Certainly. Impossible? Not by a long shot. Calgary's Regional Faith Community Emergency Preparedness Coalition is proof of that. 19 faith and government health groups, all working to prepare an integrated approach to emergency response, all in anticipation of a full-blown pandemic.
And we can provide service for, say, parents are out sick and nobody's to look after their children. We can provide food, care for elderly. Whatever the situation, if you have your volunteers in the churches prepared ahead of time, they can be ready to stand in the gap.
The plan started pastors like Doug Schrader thinking about what care will look like. Imagine a single mom who needs help getting the kids to school because she's too sick with H1N1.
Well, it just seemed to be something that's growing out of our continued consciousness about how we can serve the community. Just before Jesus washed the disciples' feet, it says of him that he wanted to demonstrate the full extent of his love. And he did that by serving. And then at the end of it, he said, if you know these things, you'll be blessed if you do them. And so we're just growing in awareness of how we can become a church that is of service to the community.
It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. We're building an infrastructure, network, communication linkage, job descriptions, standards before it starts to rain.
Retired medical research professor Dr. Wayne Elford is part of the coalition.
What the churches have to offer is they are in most neighborhoods. Therefore, there are facilities that might be available for child care, for assessment clinics, for vaccination centers, a kitchen that's usually or often of a commercial standard. So facilities can be available, but probably more important, people. And the people can be available because it's part of a person who has a faith to respond to the needs of their neighborhood.
The idea of having churches be part of the support structure for how Canada responds to H1N1 wins top marks from Canada's lead research scientist on the pandemic.
Well, I think that's sounds like a wonderful initiative to me. People who have influenza can be very ill and need support. And so something that helps to provide them care and look after their daily needs is great. At the same time, people need to be concerned about making sure that they're exposed as little as possible, and also that they get vaccinated.
In this Alberta campaign, they are actually asking clergy to get behind their pulpits and say, go out there and get vaccinated. What do you think of that?
I think that's excellent. I think there's a lot of misperception about vaccines and the risk. The risk of getting a vaccine is much, much less than the risk of having a bad outcome with this influenza virus.
Word is getting out in a door-to-door initiative of the Calgary Coalition, designed to let people know that help is as close as the phone number on the bottom of the door knocker, the number of the local neighborhood church.
It's groundbreaking. I don't think there's anybody in Canada that has done anything at this level to get the churches mobilized, but they are coming around.
Do you think churches are a missing piece in pandemic preparedness?
I believe it is. You know, We have so much to offer, and I think people in the pews are wanting to serve and not too sure what that would look like. And I say this opportunity is, to me, bar none, the greatest opportunity and vehicle that we have to get to know our neighbors that I've ever seen.
Marg leads this effort today, ironically, because years ago someone from a local church knocked on her door. It was a routine process of a church getting to know its neighborhood. It would be the beginning of a conversation that would spiritually transform her life.
It's changed my life, and I think what I'm doing now is a result of what I was given 30 years ago, and I always thank that church for knocking on our door.
He was your average, healthy, middle-aged dad until he got H1N1. Within weeks, he was gone. An intimate conversation with Pastor Perry Chernesky's widow next.
We thought everything would be okay. It was just going to take time. You know, I mean, this was the flu. You don't die from the flu.